Welcome back. You're watching Daybreak. It's the 26th day of June 2019 and the world over is marking International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. Now, a 2017 NACADA report on the status of drug and substance abuse showed that 4.9 million Kenyans aged between 15 to 65 years are abusing at least one drug or one substance. How serious is this issue? How serious is this issue in your county, in your homestead as well? Let us know, because we want to have a very honest conversation this morning with a competent panel to help us analyze the various issues around drug abuse. And we are asking you this morning our big question: what new measures need to be implemented in the fight against drug abuse? The face of drug abuse is changing. The users are changing as well. And so what new measures today do you think should be implemented in the war against drug abuse? 2242 is the SMS line. The hashtag is Daybreak 0719 777. You can call in as well. And we'll be talking to our Laura Otieno live from Kisumu, where the national I don't want to call them celebrations per se, but the national event in terms of International Day Against Drug Abuse will be happening. Let me briefly introduce our panel and get straight into the discussion. We'll start from the far right. We have Honorable John Mutudo, former chair NACADA. He wears many hats, but for this discussion, that is his experience on that seat will help us understand the issues. Mheshimiwa, karibu sana.
Asante. Good morning, viewers.
Good morning, and thank you so much. We also have Joyce Nyawera, one of the youngest panelists we've had on the show yet. She's a student at the M-Pesa Academy. Joyce, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. And her teacher here, I've switched over to the other side, Otoa Sifuna. Welcome to the program as well.
Thank you, Wahiga.
And last but not least, we have Joseph Kajani. I struggled with what kind of title I should give you. Recovering or recovered?
Recovered.
Reformed.
Recovered, reformed addict.
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure clarify that. And we want to start with you and just find out from you, in as briefly as possible, are you able just to explain to us your experience with drug abuse, how you got into it and how you were able to get out of it?
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. For me, I started when I was about 8 years old.
8 years old?
Yes. The reason is because my mom was drinking and selling it, alcohol. So that was my first encounter with alcohol and cigarettes. Because you see, when somebody is young and, you know, and seeing people drinking alcohol and you want to experiment. So I started, that was my first encounter with alcohol and cigarettes. So because, and you see, if my mom is drinking, she doesn't really care because it's there, she's selling it.
When did you, go ahead.
At any point, did anyone try to intervene? Even your parents or even in school, did someone try to stop you, and what was your response to it?
Unfortunately, the area that I grew up is that there were no people, because most of the people around that area were drinking and selling it. So where I grew up, there was no like models who could tell me stop drinking or stop taking it. In school, when I would go to school, at least it was much better, because some of the teachers would tell me, please don't head the direction your mom has headed. So at least in school, some of the teachers would try to encourage me to not to drink or even to smoke.
All right. So I want to show you some statistics. That's a very startling revelation there, because there's another report from NACADA that was published just about 6 days ago. The report was called The Status of Drugs and Substance Abuse Among Primary School Pupils in Kenya in 2019. It shows that children as young as 6 years old abuse drugs. So that survey covered, what, 3,307 pupils from 177 primary schools spread across 25 counties. And I want to show you some of them coming up on your screen right now, parts of that report. The NACADA report shows that 16.9% of primary school pupils are using at least one drug or substance of abuse. 16.9%. The survey also says that 20.2% of primary school pupils have used at least one drug or substance of abuse in their lifetime. As well. There's still more.
There's still more.
The most abused drugs in schools, and there are numbers.
All right, we have tobacco, prescription drugs, alcohol, and Mirazo. And we'll be getting to more of those stats in just a bit. What I want to show you briefly, I have pictures of Joseph that paint a real picture of what he went through. We can just have those pictures up on the screen. We have one of him with the family, and then can we start with that one? And so this is I call this picture perfect, Trevor.
Mm-hmm. The latest picture.
The latest picture, a perfect family. But then we have an earlier one that we also now want to put up on the screen for you. This was Joseph a couple of years back. I don't know if Joyce is seeing that. I don't know if Mheshimiwa here is seeing that.
I can see clearly.
You can see that clearly.
Oh, sure.
This is what, Joseph, that picture, when it was taken, first of all, who was taking that picture and what was going on at that point in your life?
The picture was taken about 11 years ago when I was entering Teen Challenge. Teen Challenge is a Christian rehabilitation program in Kiambu. That was the picture when I was coming, the first day I was entering the program. That picture you see there, I had not taken alcohol or drugs for 3 days. But trust me, look at that picture. I was high. Because even if I would go like for a week without drinking or taking drugs, you could tell I was high because even my blood was smelling of alcohol.
And what was the turning point? How did you know that there was a problem? Or did you even know that you had a problem? Who brought it to your attention?
You see, every addict out there, they know it's a problem. Even a young person taking cigarettes, they know it's not a good thing because it's harming you. It's making you not to function. It's making your grades to go down. It's affecting your work. So anybody that's taking drugs or alcohol, they know it's a problem. The problem is, the major issue is how do you come out? So for me, I knew it was a big problem, but I didn't know how to come. I was hooked. I was trapped. I didn't have ways to come out. I tried to quit smoking, to take drugs, to stop drinking, taking Mira, but I couldn't. I was trapped. So for me, it was difficult. It was tough.
What did you say was your lowest moment when this issue of the drug abuse was facing you? What was your lowest moment? Because some of the addicts we talked to say that they had to go to the extent of selling things to get that dose.
For me, you know, I'll be honest with you. Most addicts' stories are similar. For me, I sold everything I had, okay? Until I sold my mattress that I was sleeping on. I sold the bed, then I sold the mattress later. But for me, the lowest moment was when I was expelled from college. And I didn't have, it was somebody who was paying for me. It was not even my family. And my future was just whoosh, like that. Because I was selling even my textbooks.
You're selling even your textbooks?
Yes.
Okay. Before we get a reaction, because it seems the school now has become a focal point in terms of the war on drugs, before we allow Joyce and Mwalimu to weigh in, Mheshimiwa, familiar story?
Very familiar.
Is that what
it's repeated millions of times. It's most unfortunate thing, but I must be quick to point out that addiction is a disease. Many people would associate it with bad behavior, criminology, but addiction is a disease. And that's why I would quickly support what the CEO Nakada is saying. These are sick people. Let's treat the masses so that we do not have customers for the drugs. And that way we'll control the problem.
Do we have the facilities in this country to adequately deal with the drug problem? If everyone who is struggling with drugs wanted to go to rehab, do we have enough beds? Do we have enough caregivers?
No, we don't. I will give you a very whirling statistic that one of the most effective new designs in dealing with this issue is what they are calling medically assisted therapy, where they use methadone, so it's a synthetic drug to try and do detox and also use other form of drugs. The truth is that for the last 5 years, the government of the Republic of Kenya, through Minister of Health, and UNODC have done about 4,500 patients. 4,500 patients out of a population of about 8-9 million addicts is nothing.
We have 8-9 million addicts?
Addicts, yeah.
8 to 9 million.
8-9, because by the time I was living in Akada, we were at 8.1 million addicts.
Wow.
Clinical addicts. I'm not talking about general addicts. If we take the general addicts, then it is much higher. I think clinical addicts, people who require medical attention now,
Yeah. So
diagnosed.
That's the extreme side of it.
Yeah, yes, the extreme end of it, 8.1 million or thereabout.
Wow.
But I suspect about 9 million. Nakada doesn't have adequate funds these days to do surveys, but I'm sure it will be exciting to get the latest figure.
Yeah.
I would say that is very, very familiar, and lack of attention or inadequate attention. You have asked me a question. Do we have adequate facilities? No, we don't. Although we have about 234 private rehabs, but these are tiny things. 1, 2, 3 bedrooms house taking about 6 people. I mean, in Kenya, you need robust rehabs. I mean, a rehab that will take about 1,000, 2,000 people. We need a rehab in every county. We need to have mass treatment, otherwise we are doomed.
Otherwise, we are doomed.
Yeah, in Nakuru, I'm having a private one, John Mutune Empowerment Center. It has a capacity of about 2,000. That's the biggest in Africa. And I know what it takes. It is not rocket science. If the government is willing, next week they can have it. They can be able to do it. Dealing with addicts is not a dangerous venture. They are very understanding. You just need to approach them humanely. You look at them as members of your family. We can get rid of all these 9 million and bring down to under 1 million within about a year or so.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Nyawera, you're a student at the M-Pesa Academy, and I know you've not probably done a lot of research on this, but when you hear such numbers, the ones we're talking about, 16.9 primary school students having used drug or abused it, is it that bad where you are? Is in the school, what are the conversations that go on within your circles, and what do you guys think are the best intervention measures? Because there's a lot of push and pull on how it should be handled. But from where you stand and your own perspective, the people you interact with, your peers, what do you think are the intervention measures? And are these statistics as bad as we make it sound?
For me, from the time I was born, I've always been hearing of drug abuse, substance abuse. In science, we have always been taught of the dangers of drugs. It has now become a cliche we are used to. And now you see, as we continue growing, you see there's this aspect of this awareness. You start seeing, hey, I've grown, and then we have a lot of peer pressure among us. And that tendency of always wanting to fit in. So I don't want to disappoint my friend. So even if you say drugs are bad and my friend is into it, why should I not join? And I want to feel like I am part of this group. So you might find this is because of lack of family involvement. Some of us, the background that we come from, we have parents who are addicts. It's so unfortunate that the same parents that are telling us that drugs are bad are the same parents who are taking these drugs. How can you expect me as your child not to take it, and yet I'm seeing you're taking? It's so amazing to see that rehabilitation can turn somebody from our situation to how he is right now. It is it's amazing, but it's also a process. First of all, we are like young people in our families. We are not given the chance to air out our views, so we might prefer to go and tell other people. And as we turn to our friends, the alternatives that they tell us, we can take drugs, and we feel it's okay. So I think first it goes back to the background. The parents should make us aware, should also have the actions matching with what they say.
When I was...
you know, now I see why she put the president on the spot, because I was also here writing notes and I'm thinking, wow.
And for those of you who are wondering where you may have seen this young lady before, we'll show you a bit later on. Okay, I'm not very old, but when I was a bit younger, peer pressure would begin at about 13 years.
Yeah.
When is peer pressure hitting young people now? At what age? When did you start feeling like life was changing for you? At what age?
For me, mostly it's in Form 2.
In Form 2?
Yes. You see, like, you've gone to high school. Form 1, it's a period of self-discovery. You don't know what is supposed to be done. But now in Form 2, at least you see, now I know people. You feel like, hey, I've grown, and you want to indulge. Like, there's that tendency of always wanting to go with the crowds. At that period.
How much of it is media driven? When do young people stop watching cartoons, for example, and start watching music videos and start watching the latest movies? When does that transition happen? Because a lot of it fuels what we now believe as young people.
It depends, because not all, I still watch cartoons, though not as much as I used to. But mostly you will find at around class 7, class 8, like when you have read about, mostly class 6. Yes, I think class 6 is when people tend to know about these soaps, and they want to watch the music. And mostly when you go to high school, you'll find your friends know these songs, and you want to be in match, or you want to be in the same category with them. So you'll find you see some things are childish and you no longer want to associate with them.
You now want to be an adult.
Yes.
Yeah. that media coverage that you're talking about, has it also changed the perception of the young people? Because there are certain things in the songs you're talking about. Sometimes you can see some of them putting some alcoholic drinks and maybe a few drugs on the table. Does that influence what the young population thinks is cool, quote unquote?
Yeah, I think media as a whole has made it seem like it's not something bad, and even from the common adverts that we have on TV every day, you are advertising on how moonlight is good. So me, I'm saying it's good, so why should I not try it? And the media, which is supposed to regulate it, has not done what is supposed to be done. So I think media has really helped, has really promoted this.
Okay.
Yes.
Mwalimu, tell us this.
Yes.
We hear these numbers year in, year out. Even when he was chair, we were still getting these shocking numbers.
Yes, quite shocking.
So one, do agencies blow these numbers out of proportion to scare you, to support their causes? Some say possibly that could be one. But secondly, have we also as a society, and in the education sector, you deal with this quite closely, are you so used to these numbers by now that when you see them, in numbers too, like other numbers? Your thoughts?
Thank you, Wahiga. Thank you, Trevor. And thank you for Citizen for clinching the top television. But having said that, I want to say that these numbers are just not cosmetic numbers. They represent a reality on the ground. There is no sugarcoating about these numbers. They are actually realistic. Yeah. And I'm saying so because anybody, actually, you will talk of, even the blind can see, if it's that hyperbole that should come out of it, that the statistics is worrying. The other day, you saw somewhere in Kiambu County, where a group of youth, actually in a rendezvous party, had ground the narcotics. It was actually bang. And they had ground it to very fine powder and mixed it with some cookies. And therefore, it was Wahiga who said that actually the game has changed. And even we as teachers, if you are not very, very analytical, if you are not studying the behavior change, the psychology, the mind of this particular student, it will be very hard to deal with this monster called drug and substance abuse. But Joyce has indicated something, and Joyce comes from M-Pesa Foundation Academy, which deals with a lot of leadership nurturing. We are saying this as a country, that I think our own leadership is letting down, is giving a raw deal to this kind of generation. Why should it be that we preach water and we are consuming heavy wine? You have seen the...
Quite literally.
Yes, quite literally. Why is it? And Wahiga, when you read this statistics, and it's telling you that, the question we are putting in, I like the rhetorical question, treatment or the jail? But when you look at that in its very entirety, the petty offender is the one that is going to jail. The heavy drug baron, Wahiga, because of his money and his position in society, is actually walking scot-free. So I think the commercialization of this whole drug syndicate is making the matrix even much more complicated. Why are we even putting the monetary value to it? When somebody is captured with bangi in somewhere on the border, you say you put the monetary attachment to it. He was Wahiga, and sorry, God forbid to use that as an example. Wahiga was nabbed with 10 kilograms of bangi, costing 2.2 million. Why are we putting the monetary value on it?
To show the severity of the offense.
No, but you see, you are actually whetting the appetite of somebody who wants to venture into that business. And Mutuzo told you very clearly, we are giving a raw deal to our students, our youthful people whom we keep on believing in, and they can be the best leaders of tomorrow and even today.
But how much of this
How
is based...
is the role modeling?
Yeah, how much of this is based on parental guidance? Because there are two issues here. The NACADA report says that the time of the drug abuse, the survey shows it's during school holidays, top of the list, and then inter-school competitions and weekends.
Yeah,
so that also shows that should this even be banned in school?
That's
how much
why
of
I'm
this
not
is parental
exonerating-
guidance and how much of this is the school administration?
I'm not exonerating. You know, Trevor, you said that the whole system has really changed. It has metamorphosized into a very complicated flow of these drugs. So as teachers, we also need to up our game. We also need to appreciate that the young people has really evolved.
Yeah.
If you apply the old methodology of discipline and checks and balances, you shall not get it. These guys are becoming much more smarter, occasioned by technology and I think even evolution.
Exposure and so forth.
Exposure and all that. They are becoming smart in this game. So any institution worth its salt must appreciate that there must be checks and balances, there must be measures that actually protect our youth. Because if we cannot invest in our youth, then what business are we doing? Producing that A.
Okay.
But in terms of values, in terms of, it all speaks down to values.
Okay.
That's why as a teacher, I really want to support even the competence-based curriculum. Because it's putting a lot of importance on value teaching. If these guys are living the values, they shall actually look at the merits and demerits of using this particular drug.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
Joseph, come
Yes.
back in, and I'm sure you have a reaction to what he said, but I have some more questions about your experience. You say you had your first taste of a drug at age 8.
Yes.
When do you think you began abusing? And how long, and how many years then until you got, you know, your, I don't know what, breakthrough of
Yes.
sorts? Yes.
So, as I've said, at the age of 8, that's when I started experimenting. Because it was here, a puff here, a sip here, because I was seeing people doing that. It was on and off until I finished primary school. From there now, because I was out there, because I didn't go to secondary school, because my mom had an option either to continue drinking or to pay for my school fees. So she opted to drinking and continue with her habit, so I didn't go to high school. So for me, from the age of 16 years, okay, that's when now I started getting deeper into it. Because I was out there, I was free, I started joining some groups that were going to the streets, and from there actually I graduated from alcohol and smoking to marijuana, and now taking pills. We used to take Valiums, we used to take Roche, we used to take D5s, okay?
And you'd buy them from chemists?
We'll buy them from Kibera.
Okay.
We'll buy from the streets. We'll go to Kibera to buy them. There were peddlers who were selling them to us. So for me, that was when now I started going down. Okay, it started becoming a social now issue. From 16 years until 30 years, I was hooked into it. I was hooked into it.
At least 14 years.
Yes, at least 14, 15 years. Because, you know, at 15, I was into it deeper kidogo. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Were you arrested at any given point, and does that work to deter drug abuse?
Well, actually, I became a cell person. Even the police, the police were tired of me. The police were tired of me. At some point, I'll pass even by the chief's place and, you know, call names to the APs. And, you know, they'll just chase me. And, because they won't even arrest me because they are used to me. So I slept like so many times in police cells. I went to prison twice, the medium prison in industrial area because of drinking and disorderly. So it was tough.
And this whole time while you were there, was there any form of rehabilitation? Or was it just
punishment?
Johnny has been found with drunk and disorderly, Rusha Yendani?
To be honest with you, the security agents are doing their job. They are not equipped with skills. They're not there to rehabilitate you. They're there to do their job. Okay?
Which is law and order.
Yeah, the cells are not a rehabilitation center.
I would not agree with that because Mutuzo law was carded that if you are listed more than 3 times, then you are committed to treatment. It is there in law.
But unfortunately,
So it's
it
the
is not-
implementation that
But
is
you never
lacking.
saw. You never saw.
I never saw that. For me, I was. Yeah.
So if the OCS was too lazy to read the law, then it doesn't serve the job. The same thing you would see if you say they're talking about, if you look at the Nakada report, they're accessing the drugs, the law bars which are near schools.
Yes.
The law is very clear, 300 meters.
300 meters.
Yes, and it has not been revised. They have tried to go to the Court of Appeal and they could not work. So the OCS again, out there, is sleeping on the job.
Close every bar within 300 meters.
300 meters
of any school.
It is there, it is legal. Look at the other one, the kiosks next door.
Yeah.
Surely that's not rocket science. How many kiosks can you attack? A squadron of 5 police officers will deal with those kiosks. The truth is that even those ones who are doing enforcement seem to be part of the problem. Sorry to say it.
Are they lazy? Are they being paid by people? Well, what
I think they are
your
both.
assessment?
I think they are both. They are not just corrupt. They are more loyal to the masters who pay them
Okay.
than even the employer. And that is a sad situation.
Okay.
And by the way, even them, the police get addicts. They have addicts within themselves.
Within the force.
Within the force.
Yeah.
But the powerful people who deal with the drugs are not more than 20 in Kenya. I would challenge CS Matiang. Forget about the tough talk. Go for them. They are the 20. The bangi comes from the highlands of Ethiopia in huge trucks of 40 tonner. From Ethiopia all through the semi-desert situation.
Through a border point or through some hidden...
Through the border point. It is normal business. They will just come down, and you saw it, some of it landing up in Nakuru, in Tanka. The other day, it was arrested. There was a good job done by the police.
Yes, I think
yeah, you
so
remember
that
that? You remember
news,
it? That one was shocking news to everyone. But I've talked about it from 2010 all through up to until the year's sake. There's a province in Ethiopia where Bangi is like cash crop. So they move their huge trucks and end up somewhere Mandela or Jill, then find their way up to Malindi, a distribution point. The other group gets the way through Dondoma area, coming all the way up to Taveta through the national park, and then there you are.
So you know these channels because you are at the helm of Nakada.
Yes.
But are the police force aware of it? Like Wahiga is asking, did you present it to them? What are they doing?
They are aware, but not the current DCI. We haven't had a meeting with the current DCI. I must admit, I have not had any discussion. But I have put it in writing. I've presented in front of the media reports outlining how these things
get into the country.
Yes. The other thing is that they are looking at the law selectively. They are very busy trying to harass this young man, gentleman here who is taking 1 or 2 pounds of bangi. But they are forgetting about the shipload of stuff which is coming the other side from the port.
Yeah.
All right.
What are we going to do about that?
And if you look again, do an analysis. And I would ask Royal Media Services or anybody, USID, like you mentioned, anybody to go and do the study. In jail, the inmates, 90% are there because they were caught drunk. They stole 50 bob to come and buy some bangi. And if we solve the drug problem, then 90% of the inmates, the problem is sorted out.
Solve the drug problem, clear out our jails.
Jails.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. And remember, we saw that case the other day. A lady caught peddling bang worth 3,000 shillings.
Yeah.
How many years in jail?
Yeah. 30 years was it?
You need to visit the jails themselves and then listen to the stories. And then again, look at this time when they're talking about trillion budget. How much money is being pumped towards rehabilitation and treatment of inmates in prisons? Zero in the budget. How are we going to solve this problem? You are making the situation worse. When they come out, they have serious craving. Treatment,
Yes.
he will tell you, is not just about being a good boy. It is complicated. There's science to it.
It's
In a rehab.
psychological, it's mental. And Joseph, I know you haven't finished your point, but we need to take a quick break.
Yeah, when we come back.
We'll give you a chance to continue when we come back.
Yeah, the report also shows that some of the places where students are most exposed is inter-school competitions and outings and weekends, something we used to call funky when we were young. I don't know what Akina Nyawira call it now. We'll find out from them whether those ones should be scrapped off as well when we come back. Also, we'll read some of your feedback on social media. The hashtag you're using is Daybreak 22422 at Citizen TV Kenya. Trevor Mbija, Twega Mora. We'll sample some of them right after the break.